Welcome to the Learn to Sew Academy channel. Please remember to subscribe. Thank you.
In this tutorial, we are going to be making a peplum top with lace and African print Ankara fabric. It's going to be a high-low peplum top. For this peplum top, we're going to be using a shoulder of 16, bust 42, half length 18, and a waist of 38. Now, how do you divide when you want to cut your fabric? In this tutorial, I am cutting both the front and the back together. So what we're going to be doing for the shoulder, because we measure the shoulder across from one end of the shoulder blade to the other. That's how you measure your shoulder at the back. You go from one end of the shoulder to the other end. Now, when we fold the fabric into two, we're just going to need to divide whatever you get there by 2. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're folding our fabric into 4 layers actually, but when you fold it, you know that your shoulder, you measured it just across. You did not do a circumference for your shoulder. So you're going to just divide that by 2. Then for the bust, because we went round to measure this bust, we took a circumference. So that is why we're dividing by 4. Then for your half length, because it's a length, you don't need to divide that. You leave it as is. Then for the waist, we also took a circumference. So that is why we're doing a division of 4. So that is how you're going to measure this to know what measurements to take when you fold your fabric. And after you've done that, you also want to add your seam allowance. I use 0.5 in this tutorial. So whatever you get, you just add 0.5, or if you want to do 0.75 or 1 inch, you add whatever your seam allowance is. For this top, we're going to be needing a measurement of shoulder 16, bust 42, half length 18, and a waist of 38 inches. Now I folded this into 2, and we just want to make sure that what we have across here is enough, is half of the bust plus 1 inch for our zip allowance at the back. Now, if you're not too comfortable doing math, you can do your divisions on your tape measure. What we're going to do here is we're going to look for the bust measurement, which is 42 inches on our tape measure, and then we divide that into 2, which is going to give us 21. And then at that 21 inch mark, we divide that again into 2 to get 1/4 of what the bust measurement is. So right here we have 10.5. Now, why are we doing 1/4? That is because we're going to fold this into 4 layers. And we're doing 4 layers because we want to cut both the front and the back together. This center right here, we lay it such that we left 1 inch allowance for our zip at the back of the top. So what we have here now, we're also going to measure it to make sure that we have enough across, for our 1/4 of the bust measurement, which is 10.5, plus our seam allowance. I use 0.5 seam allowance. You can choose to use 1, but I'm okay with 0.5. So altogether, I need to have a measurement of at least 11. And that is what I have here. So we're going to start now to measure. And this is the center back where the zipper goes. This is the center front. So we're going to start measuring from here. We want to measure our shoulder, which was 16 inches. So for our shoulder, we're going to divide into 2 for shoulder, because we just measured shoulder across. So we need 16 divided by 2 is going to be 8, and I'll put an extra half an inch allowance. I'm gonna try and use another chalk right here. So I need 8.5, So that's my 8.5. Now my bust is 42, and like I said, I'm using 11. So I just want to try the armhole. Normally for my armhole, for a bust of 42, I do between 9 and 10. So I'm just going to do 10 right here. I measure from up here down here. I do 10, and then this is my bust right there. Now I need to do my arc length. The arc length that was measured, it's 18 inches. Now we must remember that when we sew, we need to put a sewing allowance too for the top. So I'm going to measure 18.5. So I'm going to measure these all the way down. I'm actually going to do 19 because there should also be an allowance at the bottom. So I have 18. So on top here, I need half an inch allowance. At the bottom too, where I'm going to join the other part of the top, I need another half an inch allowance. So I'm going to do 19 actually. So I'm going to mark this 19 inches. And if you like, you can just mark it all through like that. So now I just want to join all the lines together to make it easy to cut. Now, if you remember, the waist that we are using with this particular top is 38. And when we divide that, that's 9.5. Again, you can just fold your, if you're not too comfortable doing math, just fold. We need 38. And we know we need to fold it into 4 places. Half of it is 19. Half of that we give you 9.5 right there. And if you're comfortable just calculating it with a calculator or just off head, you can do that too. So what we need to do here is to measure that 9.5 right from the edge. These are 9.5 right here. And I'm going to put an allowance of half an inch, which is 10. And usually I would also do like an inch of that for the dot, because I'm going to put a dot. And by the time I do that, I'm having exact same 11. Now this is because the hip of the bust and the waist size are almost close. The waist is 38, the bust is 42. In some other cases, you may have a shape. If the waist was really small, like a 32, you may have to cuff it round like that. But in this case, it just happens coincidentally that this is what we have right now. So we're just going to cut our shape of the armhole and join it down here. You can cut that out. Next is the neckline. It depends on what you want to do. You can decide to make any shape for your neckline, but I'm just going to do a round neck, and I'm going to make it the same both the front and the back. So right here, from here to here, I want to make it like a 4. I'm going to make this 4.5. You just form a circle. If you decide to make the back lower, you can do that too. All you just need to do in that case is you cut the front part separate, and then you make your back lower. Like if you want it to be really lower, maybe like 8 inches, you just measure 8 inches to the same point where you started the neckline and just cut it. But I want mine the same size, so I'm just gonna keep it like this. I'm gonna open this up. You just want to make sure you cut through all the 4 fabric. Now, what I normally like to do, I like to just do a little tiny cut for my dart, so that when I start sewing, it's easy for me to know that, okay, my dart starts from this point. And normally you measure 4 from the center. That's what the dart's gonna be. So just make a little tiny cut right there to let me know. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the lower part, the peplum side, the lower part of the top. With this top, I'm also gonna use a lining for the lace. I'm gonna use a satin lining just to make it have some more shine. But before we do that, I'm just going to go ahead and work on the African print fabric. Now to make our peplum bottom, I actually want to make an eye-low peplum top, so the front will be lower than the back. So I want my front to be I'll make my front 8 inches and I'll make the back 12 inches, just a little bit lower. Now there are 2 ways to do it. For a beginner, you can just try to like eyeball it. You just think, okay, what's your waist measurement, and you can just do something like, let's assume your waist measurement, it's in this case we're using 38. Let's say your waist measurement is 38. I've folded it into 2, so 38 divided by 2 gives you 19. So you can just do something like this to see, okay, let me find 19 as a cuff like that. This is 19, okay, and you can put like your allowance. Let's make it like 20. So you can do something like this if you like, and just mark it with a chalk, form a cuff to your 20 mark, and just use a cuff, a chalk to mark it out, right? And then from that point you can start measuring what you want your front to be and what you want your back to be. Actually, your back is going to be the open side. The other way to do it is a more technical way, which may actually be more accurate. So what you want to do is you want to take your waist and you divide your waist by 6.28. Sorry, you divide by 6.28. If your waist is 38, you say 38 divided by 6.28. Then whatever you get, you times that by 2. Again, we have the fabric folded into 2. I'll go over that again. You take your waist. If your waist is 40, divide it by 6.28, and whatever you get as your answer, you multiply that by 2. So in this case, I did a quick division, and I'm going to be using roughly 12.42, which I'm going to approximate to 13. Now I want a little bit of gathers on mine. So what I'm going to do is I'm measuring the 13, but I'm going to add, because I want some gathers on it, I'm going to add maybe like 4 more. So I'm going to do like 17 right here. I'll mark 17 that way, and I mark 17 this way. So I go around from this point, this angle, and I mark 17 all around from this angle right here. Now you want to join this line to form like a half circle. Now this is going to be my front. So for my front, like I said, I wanted my front to be 8 inches. Now I'm gonna M it at the bottom. That's additional 1 inch. That's gonna be 9 inches. And then for my sewing allowance, I'm gonna leave half an inch. So that's gonna be 9.5 inches. So right here, I'm gonna do 9.5 inches. It depends on how long you want yours to be. You can always make it whatever you want to make it. Now I'm gonna come over here. This is my back, remember? So my back, I'm gonna measure 12 inches. That is what my back is going to be. But I need the hemming, which is going to be 1 copies. I have I measured my 12 inches, and I did 1 more inch for the hem, and then I have this half inch. So what we're going to do now, we're going to connect from this fold down to what we have over there. So we're going to draw a circle and connect it right there. And we just cut.
Right.
Along the first line that we did. So this is going to be my back. This is going to be my front. Like I said, it's not going to be too much of a difference. And I'm going to have it a little gathered. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's the bottom part of the top. Gonna be right at the bottom. Now we're gonna do the sleeve. if we want a sleeve, for some people you can decide to just leave it sleeveless. Just hem the sleeve. Well, we do want a sleeve, so we're gonna see what we have left in this fabric. See what we can do with the sleeve. We're gonna make a long sleeve for this. The length of the sleeve is 22.5. I'm going to trim this off later just to have this edge right here. So I'm gonna start my measurement from where we have this cuff. I'm gonna measure the 22.5 from there. The length is 22.5 and with an 1/2 inch sewing allowance at the top. The sleeve round is going to be 9. So we need to divide by 2. That's 4.5. With 1/2 an inch of sewing allowance, we have 5. Turn it around to make it easier for me. If we recall right over here, our sleeve, our armhole right here is around 10. And actually this right here, we still need to slant it down. Because normally when you cut your top or a dress, you give it a slant like that. So I need this to be around that 10. I'm going to join it to my armhole area right here. I mean my sleeve round, I'm joining it to the sleeve round. From the armhole to the sleeve round. Unless you just cut. I usually just notch it right here. So we're ready with the sleeve. We have the bodies. So I'm gonna use this just for the body of the top. I'm not going to be using it on the sleeve. Cut this. I'm gonna cut exactly the same size, so I'm just gonna place this on top of it and cut it out exact the same size. So I don't really need to show that on the video, but I'll just place it just so you have an idea what I'm gonna be doing. I'm just gonna place this exactly like this and cut it out the same size. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And for this, because I want to make a small skirt out of the fabric, and the fabric I have is a little limited, so I'm gonna leave my peplum like this. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna double it. I'll just leave it like this so I can have enough fabric for a short skirt. So I'll see you in the next video, where I'll be showing you how I sew all of these and put them together. Please like, share and subscribe.